Hello there, and a very good evening to you. Thank you so much for joining me this evening on Transforming Families. I'm so excited to have you on board, as it is every other day. My name is Faith Cole, and thank you so much for tuning in. Tonight we are talking about a topic that most of you have kept on requesting us to tackle again, and I'm so excited that we are receiving such great feedback from you guys, and we are here because of you. And I want to express my gratitude and hope that everyone who reached out to us for help, for counseling, that you are receiving the help that you needed. And I pray that the grace of God will be sufficient for you as you conquer whatever it is you are dealing with. So thank you so much for joining me tonight. Today I am very much excited because I am gladly joined by Miss Andred Kamunde. I know most of you could be wondering, where is Professor Kathleen and Rev Edward? Worry not, guys, they are coming back in the second half, but this first half I am gladly joined by Miss Andred Kamunde, who is a counseling psychologist and accredited mediator, and she's very passionate about the education of family, and that is why we said, transforming family needs you tonight. Thank you so much for coming on board, Miss Andred.
Thank you too.
Yeah, I'm so excited to have you and for us to discuss about single parenting, which is something so crucial in the society today. And I'd say we have received a lot of feedback. Previously we had talked about it, and guys said, you know what, 1 hour is not enough, we need more time. And I'm so excited to have you tonight and for us to be able to tackle about single parenting.
Okay.
I'd love us to begin with hearing from you and your views on the rise in numbers of single parents in the society today. I mean, there was a joke that was cracked, but it didn't sit well with me because I know the reality in it, that people said in Nairobi, the chances of you meeting someone who's not a single parent is 0.001. Everyone is a single parent out there. And this is a true reality, from the young people to, I'd say, the a bit middle-aged people who are in marriages that don't work out and end up as single parents. And I'd love us to start from the point where we are looking at the reason behind the increase in the number of single parents in the society today.
Okay, Madam Faith, I want to greet everybody who is listening to me, and I'm very happy to be here, and I thank you so much for giving me this opportunity.
Carringer.
I was longing to come and talk about issues of the family, and the time has come.
Yeah.
I think God is very good to me. Now, that's a very good question, and we need to ask ourselves, all of us, leave alone single parents.
Yeah.
Even those who are married, how did they get married? Just think about that before you even think about single parents.
Okay.
And I would like to start by my history in education as a teacher. When I went to the university to do my first degree, I did special education and religious studies. And I discovered there was a unit which was called African Religious Studies. And I learned a lot and realized that when Christianity came, they got rid of very important education, whereby African Religious Studies, the parents were taking care of children, and especially the mother, until a boy or a girl reached age 12. And surprisingly, when we look at the Bible, we also look at Jesus when he reached age 12, how he behaved between him and his parents, where he grew up in wisdom, Luke 2:52, stature, being loved by God, or in favor with God, and in favor with man. When we interpret that, when we are teaching children, we tell them wisdom is education, stature is taking care of your body, favor with God is spiritual.
Okay.
When we go to psychology, we call it moral behavior, moral development. And then in favor with man, which is social. So when you learn about, you have enough education, you have your good body, you know God, now you give service with the knowledge that you have. But now, at that time in the African Religious Studies, the young man at age 12, during the rites of passage, was taken to trained elders, grandfathers, uncles, who taught him how to behave as a man.
Yeah.
The girls were taken to trained women, knowledgeable grandparents, aunties, to teach them how to be women. And if you look at the Bible in Titus chapter 2, it talks about women learning, and even men learning, older ones, so that they will be able to guide the younger ones. Right now, we don't see it happening. We only hear there is rite of passage here and there, but not in the whole of the nation.
Yeah.
So parenting is an issue, a very serious issue.
All right.
Yes. Family career is lacking in our system. Yes.
So if I'm understanding you well, you're saying that the problem goes down to parenting. This is where it begins.
Exactly.
All right.
Yes. And not only parenting,
all right,
even the education system. If we look at the way that our nation is, all that we are seeing, we look and see that judicially, parliament, is it called legislature?
Yeah.
Executive.
Executive.
Is entrenched in the Constitution. All right. When we look at the society, that is the government, is entrenched in the Constitution. When we go to the side of the family, you see that the family, we have children department.
Yes.
We have gender. We have youth. We don't have anything to do with parenting.
Interesting.
For me, the research I have done, and I'm still doing, because it is my passion now, is that the family should be there as family career, ministry, and all these should be under one body. Now, then the branches can be made after. Then you can talk about the youth and the family. You can talk about gender and the family. You can talk about children and the family. Yes.
I agree. I see the sense and the point of view.
Yes.
And it is indeed true that we have neglected parenting, and we say, it doesn't come with a manual, so when you get a child, use your own way. God will guide you through on how to become a parent.
Yes.
And I believe this is where most of us miss a mark. Let's talk about now the role of a parent, because we've mentioned that parenting is so key in ensuring that we have reduced the number of single parenting in the society today, as well as we have developed, I'd say, a strong family in the society. That is what we are all about right here at Transforming Families. Now, what is the role of a parent in ensuring that I'm raising a child, preparing them for marriage, both the male child and the female child?
Now, the role of a parent, before we even go there, I'll emphasize again and again, there's no training of parenting. And it's the high time the government, the church, should work just the way they are formed the interfaith council now. Professionals should be involved. Mental health professionals, counselors, religious bodies, all those, the government itself, be involved to bring up the training up of the parent. Because it's very easy, and I've listened to very many media and everywhere, the parents should do, and they are aware. Every parent, if we look at it, apart from the ones who kill their children or who abort, and those ones now should be taken to the psychiatrist, because by the time they are reaching there, that is a mental
They're
issue.
not okay.
Or counselors. But every parent who gives birth to a child, especially mothers, they love their children, but they don't have the skills to be able to handle these children.
Yeah.
We talk about communication, for example, character building, discipline. The discipline we know, especially as Africans, is beating and shouting.
Yeah.
Instead of training,
Yeah.
instead of educating, train a child the way to go. Jesus said, let the children come to me.
Yeah.
Don't abuse. Don't traumatize. Consistently. We need to have programs to build these characters. We don't teach about sexuality. Yeah? When people get married, there's no even education on how to get married. You just get married.
Yeah.
And a child is formed. Those who have not gotten married, they meet.
Yeah.
In today's life, what we are seeing is like when young people meet, they don't know whether it's to have sex. They don't know. We don't know whether they talk about marriage.
Yeah.
We don't know whether they talk about the family. When we go to the Bible, it was very clear. God gave the family the purpose is to fulfill. And when he joined Adam and Eve, that's when they got their children.
Yeah.
Yeah? Except we are now Abraham and the wife messed and brought Hagar in it.
Yeah.
But that was after the sin of Adam and Eve happened. But when we look at the beginning, from the beginning, God had a purpose. God was orderly. Yes.
You have mentioned something about parental skills.
Yeah.
I mean, something that we rarely mention.
Yeah.
We don't necessarily think I need skills to become a parent. I
Yeah.
don't need preparation. I mean, or at times it just happens. You're not prepared to become a parent, and then you realize, I am pregnant, and you decide, okay, let me keep the child. So let's talk about the importance of, preparing yourself psychologically, not only financially, because most of us are aware that before I get a child, I need to be able to cater for at least 1, 2, 3. But let's talk about the other areas that you need to prepare in terms of I need to become a parent, making the conscious decision. Yeah.
Before that, there's education. The family life education should be entrenched in the education system. And I think they have put that one now with this CBC, competent-based curriculum. Because you get children, you have not learned anything, the child comes, you start getting confused, some get pneumonia because you are not even aware of what to check.
Yeah.
They go to standard 1, they go to primary, they go to secondary, they go to colleges. Then when they're in the colleges, they are now thinking about who shall I marry. No knowledge is given at all. So we are all guinea pigs in the laboratory, trial and error.
Yeah.
A mother and a father who doesn't know what to do with the child. So what we are seeing is that kind of product. And can you remind me the question? I think I've gone too far, too much.
Yeah,
Yes.
The question was not being aware. Like you've mentioned, we are now guinea pigs in the laboratory.
Yes.
How should one be prepared to ensure that, in what other areas do you need to be prepared other than just financially for you to be able to make the conscious decision and say, I now want to become a parent?
We need great education of parenting. We can call it even family career education. Faith. What you are doing here, you went to school from class 1.
Yeah.
You went to secondary school. You went to college. And you got your certificate.
Yeah.
The person who built this building, how many years did he learn to do this kind of work?
Sure.
This English we are talking, how long did we take? Because we were not born as English people.
True.
Yeah? But when we talk about family, there's nothing. There's nothing. We just leave people to do trial
To learn
and
as they
error.
go.
So when a girl gets pregnant, that's when we notice this is wrong. But we had not prevented it. I can assure you, the children that I teach, because I'm a church school teacher and a brigade officer.
Okay.
And you can also do your research on my site. Go and find out whether there are those children who get lost just like that. Because I make sure, in our church we make sure that, and it's just a congregation, that we give this knowledge. The rites of passage are there.
Yeah.
The parents come for training. Those ones who are bringing the children for the rites of passage. Although I would say they start early. They come late when the children are going for the rites of passage. So education should be there. And as per now, I'm wishing that we can go to Nyumba Kumi huko chini. I'm talking in Kiswahili.
That's okay. That's okay.
And use the elders, the chiefs, those the MCS,
Yeah.
and even the CDF, you know, so that we can now start programming and have workshops for parents, young parents, so that they can at least gather some knowledge on how to bring up their children. Yes. In my neighborhood, I suffer a lot when I'm passing around. I keep on entering. In fact, there is a time I had gone and asked the chief for a letter, so that when I walk, I show them. This letter is from the chief. I'm allowed to do what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Yes. Recently, they have known what I do. And recently I was caught that a child was being mistreated because there's a mother who got annoyed with her husband and left a child of, I think, less than a year with a man. And the man had to go to work. You see, now he has been made a single parent.
Yeah.
And he has to get food for the family and for his child. I was called by people to go and see the child being mistreated by whoever was left with the child. That's how I gathered them. And you can imagine, if these people are given this knowledge, even the caregivers, we are not just talking about parent, it is everybody.
Yeah.
So that when you have a maid, they know what to do with a child. Yeah.
Wow, that's really, I'd say, interesting and very nice.
Yes.
That's very profound, because we as a society haven't really thought about how to reach even to the last person in the society. So the Nyumba Kumi initiative would really come in handy for this.
It can be very, very handy. And work with the religious leaders within that vicinity and any other community leader. Yes.
All right, let's talk about of course, right now the girl child is educated and can make conscious, independent decisions.
Yes.
And we are witnessing an increase in the number of girls who say, you know what, I do not want to get married. I do not want to settle down with someone. I just want a child. So they get a child in the many different ways, of course. Could be going to the hospital for that, or get into a relationship, but the sole purpose is to get a child. And they said that I'll raise this child independently. What will this do to the society? It's
so unfortunate, because the girls trick a man. They choose a man they want to have the child with. And the man, if he's a young man, probably would wish to marry this girl. So immediately she gets pregnant, she disappeared. So even the man suffers. He is left devastated. And the girl has enjoyed herself and she has gone out to wait for her baby. Although now there are courts and there's mediation, still there's a lot of exploration that needs to be done. What is the reason? Why would you think of having a child? Have you thought about the consequences? What will you tell that child? You know, there's this single mother who just met a man and got a child, not wanting. In her mind, she knew that she was going to get married to that man. But now you, who is now deciding to have a child out of wedlock, you need to look at your values. Is it godly? Even in the traditional Africa. In fact, that time nobody would have a child outside marriage. If people were caught having sex, you know, in Africa, if you mention sex, you'll be in trouble.
Such a taboo.
It's such a taboo. But these days we teach children, those of us who have done counseling. If you you had sex before marriage, you are put on the road and stoned to death. So now we are somehow confused. We need to ask, what is God seeing? What is God saying? What does the Bible say?
Yeah.
Yes, before you think of doing that. Again, we still go back to lack of education. Of course, we can't miss rebellious characters.
Yeah.
Yes. But if parents have been taught and they consistently follow their children and educate them and tell them the consequences and tell them the importance of being pure until you are married, and tell them the challenges that they will meet when they are bringing that child alone, and that child will one day ask you a question, will you be truthful enough to tell them, I wanted to have you without your father? And the child feels that I need my mom and I need my father. Yes.
Oh, so there are a lot of aspects that one needs to consider.
Very many aspects.
Before you make that decision.
Very many. Because even for single parents who are not free to tell their children the truth about their fathers or their mothers, they do a lot of damage. We have Obama. He came to look for his roots here. And even another one called Carson. Looking for where their parents are. Their children who have said, I just want to know my dad. I just want to know my mom. That's all I need. So that is very, very crucial. Yes.
And it shows the importance of the human connection.
Yes.
That is very much needed.
Because, also the community, the society, when children go to school and they have friends, their friends are talking about their dad and their mom. And then they're not talking about their dad, they're not talking about their mom. So you need to prepare them psychologically so that they do not get affected. Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Thank you so much for highlighting that and putting it out so very well. Let's talk about the church. I mean, previously, when a girl will get pregnant out of wedlock, it was such a grievous mistake. They will get excommunicated from the church. But then came the talk where, we need more grace. We need to show this girl love and acceptance. And I want to put it that the church has become more lenient in accepting such cases. Could this be a reason of the increased number that we're witnessing right now? How should the church go about in dealing with this?
If you bring the church, I'll blame the church. Why are we having single parents in the church? What they need to check, what have they not done, instead of blaming. I think I told you from the beginning that it's easier to see the mistake, but not to ask, what have I not done? I've talked about the African religious studies. When the missionaries came, that was put off, and it was not replaced by anything. So it's not that they want to be single parents, they just find themselves there and unawares. Yes. So the church needs to do a lot. And about excommunicating, they don't excommunicate. What they do is you stop taking the Holy Communion, you go back to class. But I also want to challenge the church and ask, the man who impregnated this girl, he is still taking Holy Communion himself. He has gotten married, maybe. Where is he? But I'm happy that now we're having men fellowship in our church. I hope they are handling that. The church should be very vigorous, very vibrant, teaching about dating skills, about marriage, about parenting, not just academics. You see, even when there are seminars, many seminars will talk about being a Christian. They will talk about academics, maybe careers, maybe relations between parents. But that knowledge of avoiding to have sex is not very clear done. Yes.
You are told just flee from the devil.
Yeah.
And then you're there as a young person and you're wondering, my God, how do I flee from this?
What do I free from the devil is tabia mbaya.
Yeah.
Yet God created sex.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whatever God created, He saw it was good. You only have to explain very clearly when it should take place at the right time. And what you should be doing. And that's why I'm talking about dating skills. I personally give dating skills for young people who come to me. I do personal therapy for students of the university and colleges who are doing counseling. They come and ask me now, what is happening and what we are seeing? Can you please help me be able to go and help my colleagues about dating? And I take them through, and they become very happy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
So that one is lacking. Is lacking, because the areas of, for example, putting the boundaries.
Yeah.
What should you be discussing? How close is so close? What are the stages of dating? Such like things. How can you avoid the dangerous situations? Yeah.
Which is very key and very important.
Very key and very important.
This is a stage that young people
and even when you reach a point of now you are deciding to get married, that is when you decide, let's go and see our Reverend. And then that is the time you tell them even about going for honeymoons. There are people who go for honeymoons and they divorce when they're there.
Yeah. And
they end up, some of them, wanting to commit suicide. How do you relate with the other family members?
Yeah.
There's a lot of education. Yes.
All right. Finally, there's a conflict. I'd say a family environment that is not peaceful affects the whole family, including the children. And now we're talking about single parenting. So here the parent is conflicted. Could be the mother or the father. Should I walk out of this marriage? We are not happy. It is affecting our kids. Should I walk out? Walking out means I become a single parent. We bring up the children differently. Or should I stay because of the kid? So the argument is staying in an unhappy relationship for the kids, or walking out and being happy and raising the kids as single.
I guess we are talking about gender-based violence, such like things.
Yeah.
When it comes to such like things, it's better to save life. You cannot live in such a situation. The children are also getting affected. The other important thing is to seek a counselor who can help you know how to deal with the issues. These days we have professional people. Some of these things happen because of maybe some people have mental health issues, alcohol, drugs, emotional, stress, depression. Yes. Yeah, so communication skills, gender issues. If people go and see the counselors and the professionals, even doctors, you know that there are some issues that will need gynecologists. True. And those issues can be handled very well, and people can live together. It's a matter of working. You know, marriage is like going to a shamba. So it is going to a shamba where you have to work on it.
Marriage is work.
Family, even that single parenthood, whatever, you have to work. When you get children, you must bring them up.
All right.
God speaks to all. The Bible speaks to all, not to some, and leaving others.
Thank you so much, Miss Andred, for today. Maybe I'd love you to leave some final words for the society in general. For a viewer who's watching, what message do you have for them in terms of family in general?
The message that I have about the family is take family issues seriously. Single parents, be assertive. Self-actualize yourselves. Understand yourself. Have good self-esteem. Each child, whether in a marriage or single parent family, children are children. They need to be taken care of. And also remember to take care of yourselves. It's good to remember that all of us have a duty to do, and we need to have the knowledge of how to do about it, so that we avoid getting overwhelmed and we start messing around.
Thank you so much for that. Children are children. They need to be taken care of, but as well take care of yourself.
A child is a child. Parenting, whether in single, whether an orphan, But we need knowledge for those who are taking care of them.
Yeah. Thank you so much for today.
Yes.
I'm really grateful you could join us on Transforming Families.
Yeah,
God
thank you
bless
very much. And if you needed, I'll still come.
Sure.
And I hope you do something about it. And even maybe reach the high office in the nation.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you so much for that. Dear viewer, do not move a muscle because we'll be right back. We're going on a very short break, but we'll be right back.
Are you looking to grow a business? CAC TV offers you a variety of advertising opportunities to suit your budget. Advertise with us today and reach your potential customers countrywide. For more information, email us on sales@cactv.org or call 0794 588 054.
We get close to you. We allow you to tell the story.
There's no health without mental health.
How does one live without one breast?
It all comes down to the choices that we are making.
We have had several people buried through cancer.
It's a privilege.
Some part of the brain will have to die.
It's very hard for people to come out and say that I'm going through this.
Love, care, you too.
To educate, inform, and inspire.
On Health Nuggets, we listen, tell, and impact.
Your health matters.
Your health matters.
Your health matters.
Thank you so much for keeping it tuned to Transforming Families. And on the second part of today's episode, I am joined by Professor and Reverend. I told you guys that they will come along, so you did not have to worry. And so thank you so much, Rev, for joining us today, and Prof as well. We started off this episode with Miss Andred Kamunde. Yeah, but I assure the guys that you are coming on board on today's episode. So Reverend Edward Carringer right here is a minister with the Presbyterian Church of West Africa, as well as a marriage and family therapist. Asante sana, Reverend, for being here.
Thank you. It's always such a pleasure to be here, Faith, and in Transforming Families. And like we always say, a stable family for a stable society.
Sure thing. And Professor Catherine Gashuda, the director of Kenya Institute of Business and Counseling Studies, KIBCO, as well as a counseling psychologist. Asante sana, Professor, for being here as well.
Thank you so much, Faith. Growing families from that small shoot as it grows so that we can have the fruits.
Sure. Today we're talking about a certain branch on the whole to your family called single parenting. And I'd love us to begin by looking at the different types and forms of single parenting that are there in the society today.
Faith, we have different forms of single parents or types of single parents, including those who have chosen to be single by choice. And they're becoming more and more as we go by. But we also have people who become single parents by default because you are in a marriage and then you separated. You had not budgeted that you're going to separate and live your different ways, but situations have come and the eventual is that you separate and live in different places and bring up the children. Or even when it comes to divorce and you have to bring up the children solo, that's another situation that brings about the issue of you have to parent single-handedly. But we also have surrogate parents, like you bring on board children that you want to bring up, and you're the one who has decided that you would want to bring on board not children of your own, not biological children, but you are surrogate to those children or that child, that's another form of single parenting. Yes.
Thank you so much, Prof. And religion has a very huge part to play in everything, including the family as well.
Yes.
And when I start like this, I'm coming to you.
Yes.
Now, let's talk about the church and the increasing number in single parents in today's society. Previously, I'd say some years back, it was such a taboo to get pregnant out of wedlock. Could be you've made the decision alone, or you are a teenager and things have happened, or in any other way. It was such a big deal. And if you were a young girl, you'd be excommunicated, or the mamas of the church would come at your place. It was such a huge deal compared to today. I mean, the grace has been extended and people can now come to church. Now, looking at it this way, could it be that the too much grace that has been extended is an encouraging factor?
Thank you very much, Faith. To begin with, there can never be too much grace. Grace is always sufficient. And when you look at the ministry of our Lord Jesus Christ throughout, the outcasts and the people who never looked like were accepted in the society, Jesus always stretched his hand to them and said, "Come to me as you are." And he says the kingdom of God belongs to them, and each one of us. And that's why as a church we extend the gracious hand to everyone, no matter their situation and condition and how they are. It's also good to realize that many of the single parents and the single parents' children that probably would not even have gotten an opportunity to serve God because of the stigmatization by the society. Today many of them are even ministers.
Sure.
I am an example of that. Brought up by a grandmother. Many people even call me Karajawasho because I am the child of the grandmother, brought up by the grandmother. And so the grace has really been extended in a very big way, because these children, you realize as the society grows, you start realizing the child does not make a choice of coming around. The child finds themselves here. Some of the single parents that we may have condemned, and you look at them and you think they are promiscuous, you think they are very immoral, that's why they've got their children, you start realizing that there are many of them who are duped into it. Either they were in poverty and they could not be able to make a rational decision because of the poverty that was surrounding them. So when they find themselves in the family way, the last thing the church would do is to add misery to already a miserable person. That's the last thing the church would do. Others may even have gotten it through rape. And here they are. Are you going now again to add more pain to them, to somebody already who is in that situation because they underwent through rape? So you're not going again to add more pain to that situation. And traditionally, it was a little bit difficult for anyone to accept such like a child. But when you look at it today, even the traditions that were some, very strict traditions, today they have extended grace to some of those children. And so in the church, again, I would say, the church, even when you look at it in the Bible, even in Psalm 68 and verse 5, the Bible says that God himself takes care of the orphans, those children that are orphaned, and takes care of the widows. He does take care of that. The Bible, throughout, you'll not hear it talking more of a single parent. They'll talk about the orphans and the widows. The single parents can only be looked at as widows in the Bible, because in the traditional arrangement and in the context in which the Bible was written, we did not have a woman who was without a husband. Just like in our traditional homes and families, there was no single woman, because she, even if the husband died, she'll be taken over by the brother. If you took a girl and you went to bed with her, either there was love or no love, then that became your wife. And you carried them along. That's how it normally would be. Now with the new understanding, and God reveals himself to us every new day in a new way, we cannot afford not to accommodate the single parents and those children, because they have potential like any other child, and even some of them have even bigger potential than those children you'll say are of the ideal family setup.
All right, thank you for that. And maybe even as the church accommodates such, what role can it play to ensure that at least it has educated young girls and young boys out there, as well as empower them?
Yes. One of the things we do in most of our churches, like even where I'm pastoring in Kasarani, we really empower the young girls. We even have a ministry of even the house helps. We even have a ministry for the house helps. Because you'll find most of those house helps, a good number of them are already single parents. So we'll have even a ministry for them. We have a ministry for single parents in the church, so that we educate them. We help them to raise their self-esteem and to be a little bit more assertive in the society as far as their positions are concerned, and also to educate the children. However, for the teenagers and the young people, we now teach them the dangers of falling into singlehood, in the single parenthood so early. So we teach them to prepare them for life, whereby as teenagers we educate them and encourage them to go to school and encourage the parents to educate their children. Then we encourage them, like, you go know the degree, before you get married, you need the premarital classes, so that it prepares you for what to encounter. Because most of those single parents, you'll be finding, like, maybe she got married immediately she cleared class 8. Maybe immediately she cleared Form 4 is when she got a baby. So that is where the danger is. Now we teach the children, the young teenagers at that particular age.
All right.
Yes.
Amazing. Thank you so much for that.
You're welcome.
Prof, times are changing. We've mentioned that there are people who make the conscious decision and say, I want to be a single mother. Could be through surrogacy or any other way, and they'd love to bring the child on their own. But as much as times are changing, I mean, the need for personal relationship does not. This child will grow up and will ask, Mommy, where is my daddy? I see other kids playing around and all that. For a single parent, through any circumstance, how should they leverage this situation and ensure that the child, as much as they could fill a gap, grows up in a healthy and whole way?
Yeah, and I like the question because we need to appreciate, when we are talking about numbers, what are the numbers like in terms of the single parents? And Pan-Africa study that was done by 2 sociologists tells us that out of 10 women, 6 of them are single. And Kenya is rated as the country that has the largest number of single parents. And therefore we need to be concerned about that from a national platform, and even in our own families and even as individuals. And when children are growing up, when they are small, they don't ask those kind of questions. That where is my daddy, and who is my daddy, and what happened, so that daddy is not here with us parenting me. They do that when they get to the adolescent stage, when now they are coming to realize themselves, and they would want to define themselves through understanding where they are coming from and where they are at and where they are going. And therefore now they are going back and asking, where did I come from? There are questions about inherency. Where am I coming from? And they need to be responded to. And parents who are parenting sorrow need to appreciate that when a child is asking that question, they are not being disrespectful, or rather this child is not being disrespectful. The child is just concerned with knowing themselves and understanding themselves, and the child is looking for moving forward, because once they understand themselves and they understand their identity, they are able to define themselves appropriately, then they can be able to build themselves and move forward. And therefore those questions need to be responded to, and they need to be responded to in ways that are healthy. I remember one parent who just told a teenager about dad and where dad used to be in school and all that. And the teenager was not prepared that you can go to daddy and daddy says, no, I don't want to have anything to do with you. The teenager was expecting, once I go looking for daddy, daddy is going to embrace me and say, come on board, I want to continue with you, parenting you and providing for you. When he got rejected by daddy, that was the end of him. And eventually he committed suicide because of that. So when we are providing this information, who was your daddy? Then we need to know that we need a counselor on board or someone else who is going to help process this information so that if there are questions that are still hanging, then those questions can be responded to. And this child can be able to accept the reality about where they are coming from in terms of being born and being brought up in a single parenting arrangement. Yes, that would be important.
Thank you so much for that. Let's look at the numbers, large numbers of single parents, especially in our country. What does this say of the society today?
When you talk about out of every 10 ladies, 6 being single parents, it tells a number of things. One, like all of us are agreeing, times have changed. Second, it also talks about the women empowerment. There is a way when women get empowered, and I'm sorry about this, but it's how it is, a number of them feel the independence. Because enough men who will thrive on the lack of empowerment of a woman. When a woman is not empowered, then the man thinks they can dominate the woman. And because they are the ones who are providing for her, they're providing for the home, you can quote unquote mistreat them. So when the woman is empowered, she won't allow that abuse. Enough of them, because they don't allow the abuse, they will even step out. So men who cannot be able to handle or be at par with an empowered woman, most of them have found themselves going through even a chain of separation. And so some of those women, you'll find them becoming single because probably they have become more assertive, they know their position, or maybe they're trying to get an understanding with their husband. So that is the other one of the things that has happened. Traditionally, you will find that there were not as many single women. Why? The property belongs to the man, the land was for the man, the cows were for the man. So even if the woman was told, go get married to so and so, she did not make a choice of who to marry. She just simply got delivered there as part of the man's property. Today, you cannot choose who to marry my daughter. I cannot even choose. She will tell me, excuse me, daddy, have you gone crazy? She'll be wondering what is it you're talking about here. So if she gets into a marriage and that marriage seems like she's getting abused, even before she, many of them will even walk out. So that empowerment has in a way, contributed to that level. To the society, and again I will require help on this, the society may also have gone to the level of not being so caring. So you will find a lady who is out of school has been impregnated by a man who is not willing to take responsibility. The breakdown of the traditional family where the men took responsibility over their action, that starts going away. In that a man will impregnate a lady na aruke, na atoroke. Traditionally haungeruka. In the traditional ungeshikwa, ungejulikana ni mtoto wa nani, alimpregnate mtoto wa nani. So you could not run away. So that traditional family breakdown has also increased the number of the single parents. The issues of rape and all that, it also never used to be there as much. That also has become a little bit of a challenge. Yes, those are some of the factors that have contributed to the breakdown of contributed to the growth or the rise in the number of single parenting.
Thank you so much for that.
Because the wife in the traditionally belonged to the society. Today, a man will marry a lady, they are living in the city, even the families do not know. When the man feels like he don't feel like they simply walk away from each other. Traditionally, you could not do that because the father, the mother, both relatives would have to come down and talk about it. Thank you.
Wow, thanks. And Prof, when we look at this, the rising number of single parents in our country today, how could this affect us in future years to come?
In many ways, because if like the government will not look into that so that policies can be developed that take care of single parenting, then we can lose it in many ways. When you are in a single parent arrangement, there are risks that are in there. We have talked about a child who is asking, and so where is daddy? Meaning the single parents arrangement of parenting poses risks in terms of emotional unhealth or emotional turbulence in there. And therefore, because of that, children can be affected. And even the individual who is bringing up children alone, you will have questions that there is a man who was responsible of bringing these children to the world who is not taking responsibility. Whether it's because of the separation or because of divorce or because of being impregnated before you got into the marriage, whatever contributed to that. But there was a person who is supposed to be playing a role of parenting who is not doing that. It's not easy for this individual, because that means when you're parenting alone, there are certain things that you will not be able to do. You might not be able to develop your career the way you'd want to develop it, because you're mindful of the time with the children. And sometimes finances are low for such kind of people, and especially when we think about teenagers who have been impregnated and they have become parents, and there are so many in the world today, and especially in Kenya, because we've been given figures about that. This is a person who is not grown up, who is now expected to bring up a child. Certainly there are going to be deficiencies in there, because a child parenting another child brings or projects the deficiencies on the child, meaning that we might be dealing with more mental health issues into the future with the children than we are even having today. Today we are troubled, we are challenged, but it's going to be much more bloated into the future because of those scenarios.
Thank you. Very recently, last week, a writer came out and posted, she's a single mother, and posted and opened up and said, you know, I have a child, but I've never loved this child. The child is now, I believe, around 8 years. And she said how it's been years of struggle to bond with this child, and the child does not even refer to her as mommy, but calls her by her name. Of course, people were harsh and said, how can you hate your own child, and then there were those who were understanding and said, it's okay, look for counseling, these things happen. Even as we wrap up today's episode, I'd love us to speak to people out there, single parents who are struggling. There are a lot of challenges that they experience and go through as well. So I'd love us to speak to them, just a word of encouragement, avenues they can seek help, what they can do to ensure that they, even as they go through the challenges, they do not pass it on to their child. They bring up a child who is healthy as well.
Right, so you might have gotten a child through a compromising situation where you didn't feel that that was the ideal place for you to conceive, but nevertheless a child has come into this world. And for this child to grow without having issues into the future, this child requires love, requires your attention, requires you to be there for this child, so that this child can feel wanted and this child can feel positioned to be successful into this world. So I would really urge you, just like Faith has said, that you require counseling, you require to deal with whatever issues led you to be in that situation that you don't like. Because for you to have hatred for a child or lack of connection with a child, there are issues in there, and those issues are the ones that you need to deal with, so that you can be accepting of all the situations that led you where you found yourself, and for you to be able to love your child and to give that child a lease of life where they can enjoy being people and being productive.
Thank you so much for that, Prof.
Yeah, thank you very much, Prof. To my viewers this day, whatever situation you could be in, I could tell you the first thing is that you are the one who knows your story. Your story is your story, you know it. Don't let the rest of the world tell your story. And if they tell it, not in your words, please remember it's your story. Don't allow what the world tells it hurt you. People may call you all kinds of names as a single mother. They may say you are promiscuous, you went around sleeping God knows with who and who, yet you are the one who knows what you went through. Many times we tend to condemn people because we do not know them. Many times people will create their own stories about a person. Do not allow people's creation of a story about you make you. You are the one who knows your story. And you know it. Believe it. Don't get hurt by all these other creations by the rest of the world. The beauty of it, when the whole world looks at you in the eyes they look at you with, Jesus Christ looks at you as his own son or daughter in that situation you are in. And he says to you, even today, the grace of God is sufficient. That child, the world may tell you that you do not love your baby and all that kind of stuff, but you are the one who knows even the situation under which you got the baby. You are struggling in that situation, seek help. Seek help. We are here, we'll help you. Seek a counselor, go there and you'll get help from that particular counselor. God loves you so much. You never know what that child could be one day in time. I want to tell you and encourage you, I am a son of a single mother. And I'm here and I thank God that this day I grew up. And why not your baby? They could be 1 year, 2 years, 20 years, and I'm telling you that is a blessing right there you are bringing up. Love your baby, embrace it. If you're struggling, seek help. God loves you so much.
Well, thank you so much, Prof. Andre, for being here today. For me, I'd say reach out to us. You are not alone. Reverend is here, Professor is here, and in different instances where necessary, of course, we will refer you to different contacts that will help you through the journey that you're walking through. I also love to tell you that there's hope. The Bible says there's hope for a tree that has been cut, for surely it shall sprout again. So there is always hope. Never ever give up. From Transforming Families, I want to say thank you so much for everyone who's reaching out to us. Keep talking to us and getting in touch with us on our social media pages. Facebook and YouTube is at CAC TV Kenya. My name is Faith Kaulu. God bless you till next time.
Amen.